We start this hour with an exclusive interview with Prince Harry and Meghan, who've been talking to the BBC about the dangers to children from social media. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex met with a group of families last night who believe social media played a part in the deaths of their children. The BBC's John Kay was there and will play you that interview in just a moment or two. Well, separately today, British and American parents who've lost loved ones took part in a protest in New York aimed at improving online safety. They've marched to the offices of Meta, which owns Facebook and Instagram, saying that stronger regulation will save young lives. One other important development linked to all of this, the UK media watchdog Ofcom has announced today its new children's safety codes. By the end of July, social media platforms and websites must carry out more robust checks or face big fines. Well, more on all of that in just a moment. First, though, this was Harry and Meghan speaking exclusively to John Kay from BBC Breakfast. The exchanges were conducted off camera, but this is the audio which starts with Meghan talking about the stories she'd heard from various families.
These are families that we have been working with for several years, and the families from the UK meeting them tonight I think sort of speaks to the larger global issue that has been very present on all of our minds for years now, which is no matter how polarized the world is or what people may or may not agree on, one thing that we can all agree on is that our children should be safe. All of our children should be safe. And I think tonight all of these stories solidify that.
I'm an incredibly new parent.
So congratulations.
Thank you. Asking for advice because social media is so prevalent. What would you say to parents who are trying to navigate social media with their kids right now?
Well, the easiest thing to say is to keep your kids away from social media. The sad reality is that the kids that aren't on social media normally get bullied at school because they can't be part of the same conversations as everybody else. Life is better off of social media. I say that as a parent, and I say that as someone who's spoken to many of the kids here tonight who aren't on social media because they've lost a brother or a sister to social media. But clearly enough is not being done. Right? Some of the stories here are truly harrowing. Having done this for the last 3 years, being aware of it for the last 5 years, you think you've heard the worst of it until nights like this. Here in America, some of these stories, they're crime scenes, like full-blown crime scenes, and yet these companies are getting away with it by saying we don't need to give you disclosure. For the UK families, some of the arguments that are being made around privacy. So you're telling a parent, you're telling a dad and a mum that they can't have the details of what their kid was up to on social media because of the privacy of their kid. The parents who have seen their kid from the time that they were a child, it's wrong.
Where do you hope this goes next then? What would you like to see change?
I think the work that we've been doing through the foundation, specifically at the Parents Network in this program, creating this community for all of these parents, and beyond the parents, the families, the friends of these, the siblings, the friends of these children, to really be able to maximize the global messaging on it, because it is a universal truth that our children are in harm's way by what's happening online. And I think for those who do choose to be online and to be in social media as adults as well, that we get to set the example and really put as much good and joy into the world as we can. It's like that old quote, darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. And I think in many ways what we see through these parents is the hope and the promise of something better, because every single one of them in their resilience is an example, as they will say, their mouths, if you're able to speak to any of them directly, they just want to make sure this doesn't happen to anyone else. And we are just here to support them in that in such a huge way. One of the fathers said, he's like, all of these photographs, as you can see, illustrates the children that are lost, but we don't have our photographs of all the children who will be saved. Wow. And it's so powerful if you look at it through that lens. So that's what we're here to support.
It's beautiful. It's like really it's so dark, but at the same time there's like a silver, I don't want a silver lining, I don't know what it is.
Well, it's a language that no one should have to speak, but they can speak the same language with each other.
Yeah.
And we're so grateful to have created that space for them to be able to.
And it's a community that shouldn't even need to exist. Yeah. And yet it's a growing community every single day, tens of thousands of parents. Like it's.
What thoughts do you take home with you to your children?
We're just grateful that our kids are too young to be on social media at this point. Right.
And when you think ahead, when they won't be able to avoid it?
One of the reasons why we're doing this is because us collectively with all these parents want to make sure that things are changed, right? So that no more parents and no more kids are lost to social media. It's unacceptable, it's wrong, it's no longer a secret. And yet these companies are given this power to be able to conceal the truth from parents as to why their kid took their life.
Well, that was Harry and Meghan talking to the BBC's John Cade.
Welcome back to Royal Sussex Squad, where truth has a voice and our support for Harry and Meghan never wavers. Today, we're diving into yet another round of nonsense from none other than Tina Brown. Yes, she's back at it again. She's promoting something called the Truth Tellers Summit, and somehow she's using that platform as an excuse to take more aim at the Sussexes. Because, of course, what better way to get attention than to invoke the names of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle? She claims there's a Harry-shaped hole in the royal family. Funny, because that's the same Harry she and her fellow commentators endlessly criticised when he dared to marry a woman of colour and step away from the toxicity of royal life. Now suddenly, he's irreplaceable. That's not analysis. That's regret disguised as nostalgia, and it's not a compliment. It's an admission that the firm let go of the very soul and spark they needed most. Then Tina says Harry misses being a prince. According to her, he was good at the role and liked it more than he realised. But wait, wasn't this the same media machine that spent years telling us Harry was lazy, a party boy, a disappointment? Now he's the most talented royal at connecting with people. Seems like someone's realising that you don't know what you've got until it's gone. But the hypocrisy doesn't stop there. Tina tries to attack Harry and Meghan's impact by saying they talk about doing good, but questions what good they're actually doing. That's rich coming from someone who sits on panels talking about journalism, while Harry and Meghan are out in the world doing real work, from Archewell's initiatives, mental health advocacy, digital safety work, to food relief and disaster aid. That's not just talk. That's real, measurable action. She even had the audacity to mock their work during the California wildfires, calling it disaster tourism. Excuse me? Harry and Meghan weren't there for photo ops. They were there to help. They showed up when people were in need. That's what service looks like, not posing for ceremonial photo shoots in the palace. The Oprah interview was a bold, historic moment. It allowed Harry and Meghan to speak for themselves, unfiltered by the palace, unfiltered by the British media. For once, their voices weren't twisted or silenced, and that, right there, is what people like Tina Brown can't stand. That Harry and Meghan took control of their narrative, that they found power in telling their truth. And the memoir, Spare, wasn't a disaster. It was a masterstroke, a raw, emotional and honest account of a life behind palace walls, a bestseller, a global conversation starter, and a record-breaking success. That's why it bothers the establishment. Not because it failed, but because it worked, because Harry told the truth, and the world listened. Tina's comments about Meghan are just as spiteful. She reduces Meghan to someone clinging to her past with the TIG, mocking her as if she hasn't evolved. But here's the truth. Meghan is rebuilding on her own terms. She's a woman who was silenced, smeared, and dehumanized, and now she's reclaiming her voice. That's called resilience. That's called power. So let's call this what it is. Not expert commentary, but a bitter lament from someone watching a new era unfold without her. Tina Brown can spin her narrative all she wants, but the truth is clear. Harry and Meghan are thriving, they are loved, and they are no longer under the thumb of the British press or royal protocol. And right here at Royal Sussex Squad, we will always stand by them. We see through the noise, we hear their truth, and we celebrate their courage. If you believe in love over hate, in freedom over control, in truth over tabloid lies, then you are in the right place. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, give this video a big thumbs up, and if you'd like to support this channel, drop a super thanks to help us keep the truth loud and proud. Until next time, stay strong, stay supportive, and stay Sussex proud.